Hey there, welcome back to our Harkla YouTube channel. We're so happy to have you again today. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and we're the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants at Harkla. And today we're going to do a Q&A episode where we answer your questions.
So if you've been hanging out here with us for a while, you know we have not done a YouTube style Q&A. So we're going to tackle that today and answer your questions. So today we're going to be talking about the infants, the early intervention, and answer your questions for our littles.
All right, first question. Trying to get my son off of baby bottles. Any suggestions?
Bottles are hard. Also depends on the age as well. You know, generally we want to try to wean off the bottle before 18 months. It's kind of the general age. So speaking from a personal experience, I will share here, it was very challenging to get my son off the bottle, and you definitely first want to make sure that you and your partner are on the same page and you are both ready to get rid of the bottle at the same time, because if one person is a little bit, more lenient and not, it can be really confusing for the child. So I think the first thing is make sure that you have a plan in place and everyone that is, working with the child or spending time with the child is on board with this and they are all doing it at the same time.
Yeah. The next thing is to think about the bottle itself and what does it mean to your child. So oftentimes as your child gets a little bit older, the bottle is not necessarily just for nutrition anymore. It's actually a comfort item, because when they suck on the bottle, they are getting proprioceptive input through their oral structures, which is very calming to the nervous system. So one thing you can start trying is incorporating more of that those oral motor activities into the day, teaching your young child how to blow, providing them with teethers, chew tubes, vibration with the Z-Vibe or other vibration tools. And you can incorporate those oral motor activities into the daily routine, along with some full body heavy work activities, crawling, starting to climb, depending on how old the child is. So if the bottle has become more of a regulation item for self-soothing, then we want to just look at trying some different options for replacing it.
Yeah, and going along with that too, when we are sucking on a bottle or on a pacifier, it's also stimulating the vagus nerve, which is, again, very organizing and very calming to the nervous system. So again, when you just take something away and the child has used this to regulate their nervous system for however long, however old they are, they're like, what's happening? And we also want to look at the function of the mouth. If the tongue is, impacted and they're not able to get their tongue to the roof of the mouth and suction their tongue there, they're also not going to get that calming input as well. So we want to look at the function. Are they sleeping with their mouth closed? Are they falling asleep on the bottle? Are they just using it throughout the day as kind of a regulation technique? Are they using it for their main source of nutrition? Do we need to practice drinking out of a cup more and build those oral motor skills? Bottles are tough, so I think kind of looking at that whole picture is helpful.
Well, and something Rachel said would be another great thing to start is to start incorporating an open cup and straw drinking for getting milk and water for your child. So when your child is able to bring both hands to midline and hold a toy, they can start practicing using an open cup and straw drinking, because they have that motor skill of holding an item, a cup, at their midline and being able to bring it to their mouth. So once they're able to do that, you can actually start introducing cup drinking, straw drinking, and they can start getting there. Like I said, their liquids that way.
You can incorporate an open cup or a straw cup and provide their milk to them at dinner, at breakfast, during lunch, and then when it comes to bedtime, because I think that's generally the most challenging time, bedtime or nap time, you could use a lovey, or you could use something weighted, like a lightly weighted blanket that you can use with them, or like a little weighted stuffed animal that they can hold on to, something to replace that proprioceptive input. And then it just comes down to consistency. If we've taken the bottle away, if we're all done with the bottle, we need to communicate that in a kind and a compassionate way. And then sometimes I've heard things like the bottle fairy can come and take the bottles, and You know, there's different stories that you can help to teach your child, you know, that we're done with the bottle. There's lots of books as well. I think we had a bye-bye bottle, like zebra book that we read.
It's a tricky situation. It's a tricky transition. If you feel like you need extra help, you can also seek out a speech and language or feeding therapy evaluation and work with a professional in this area.
All right, the next one. I have a 9-month-old who weighs 25 pounds and they are not crawling on all fours. What can I do? Okay, so I think they mentioned that the baby was 25 pounds because sometimes we feel that bigger babies don't necessarily meet those milestones on the same timeline. And I haven't found any research that backs that. Have you heard anything? Yeah. So I don't necessarily think that the child's size is impacting their ability to get onto all fours and to crawl. I think that we need to look at all of the underlying pieces here, like we always talk about. You know, let's look at the primitive reflexes. When that STNR integrates, that's when we see that forward crawling progress. So we definitely want to be making sure that we're seeing them getting on all fours, transitioning in and out of sitting, rolling, kind of all of those pre-crawling skills and those pre-crawling milestones and mini milestones need to happen first.
Yeah, and 9 months is not an age of concern for not crawling on all fours. Not yet, anyways. What we want to focus on, like Rachel said, is those other developmental milestones. Is your baby able to roll both directions, tummy to back, left to right, back to tummy, and so forth? Are they able to maintain tummy time position comfortably to play? Are they sitting upright, unsupported, and able to play? And then are they able to move into the hands and knees position and just maintain, we call it a quad position, maintain that hands and knees position to engage with a toy, to look at themselves in the mirror? Are we seeing them in that position and starting to rock back and forth, forwards and backwards, kind of that, like, we almost say like babies dancing in that rocking motion? Those are kind of the precursors we want to really look at. But 9 months isn't really an area of concern for not crawling. What we do want to look for is if they are doing like what we call a janky crawl or a bum scoot instead of crawling on all fours. So if they are moving through their environment in a different way, then we want to look at, okay, what else is going on that's causing them not to crawl on all fours? We always want to look at those underlying causes, and we actually have a free webinar that is designed to teach you about those developmental milestones and those movement patterns. We will link it in the description below so that you can watch that free webinar to learn more about when you should be concerned and when you don't really need to be concerned.
We also have another YouTube video that we will link in the description as well that talks about, you know, helping your child crawl as well and gives you more in-depth tips. So hopefully that helps.
All right, next question. My newborn is tongue thrusting. When do I worry? We were kind of just chatting about this, and it's pretty typical, something that we want to see. That newborn is tongue thrusting because it's their way of learning that movement pattern of their oral structures to gain nutrition.
Yeah, and I think the thing to worry about or look at, I wouldn't necessarily say worry, is ruling out tethered oral tissues, making sure that the baby has accurate range of motion with their tongue. They are doing that like nice wave motion when they're nursing or when they're drinking from a bottle, and just making sure that functionally they are doing everything that they need to do. They're latching okay, they're swallowing okay, they're suck swallowing and breathing, that pattern is going okay. Making sure that when they're sleeping, their mouth isn't open and their tongue is suctioned to the roof of their mouth. So I think rather than worrying about the tongue thrust, I would be looking at more of the whole picture of the infant and what is their mouth doing at all times. You know, what does their resting mouth posture look like? So I wouldn't necessarily say worry. I would just say, when in doubt, rule it out. See a lactation consultant, see a professional who specializes in tongue ties and lip ties and buccal ties, and just make sure that functionally everything is working okay. Okay, next question. How can I help my infant stop sucking her thumb? Like we've talked about with our bottle question, we have to remember that when a baby has their thumb in their mouth, generally they're replacing what their tongue is doing. And the tongue is so important. And we want to make sure that it's resting at the top of their mouth, they're suctioning their tongue to the roof of their mouth, they're sleeping with their tongue to the roof of their mouth, and their mouth is closed during the day. So we want to make sure that we're ruling out any tethered oral tissues, any like orofacial malfunctional challenges first, and then we can kind of work on getting the thumb out of the mouth.
And oftentimes when your child is sucking their thumb in older ages as well as in infancy, it is a soothing technique. So they are sucking on their thumb, and that sucking, that compression through their oral structures is providing calming proprioceptive input. So it's self-soothing to their body and their nervous system. So you can replace it, whether that's with a pacifier, or you can do more oral motor activities, more oral motor stimulation throughout the day with, you know, the things we've already mentioned, such as the teethers, the chew tubes, vibration, full body massage and compression, full body activities. You can kind of just try those other activities and see if the thumb sucking decreases. See if you can replace it with something else. If it is continuing and you're noticing that it is increasing maybe, or when your child is starting to teeth and have teeth coming in, we might want to work with a professional to provide some strategies and look at those underlying reasons, like Rachel already mentioned, to see if we can, you know, help with anything that might be causing this.
The biggest challenge with the thumb is that it's connected to you, right? It's not like a pacifier or bottle. You can just take it away. You have your thumbs with you at all time. Pros and cons to that, of course, right? But I think that's the biggest challenge, is that it's just always available, and it's just, you know, babies just naturally want to put their hands in their mouth. So I think kind of redirecting them if possible, you know, finding that balance of helping them soothe in other ways versus always immediately putting their thumb in their mouth. So definitely find a speech therapist or an orofacial malfunctional therapist that you can talk to if you are really concerned about this. But it's definitely easier to break this habit younger than older. And like we've mentioned, like this is why we don't want the thumb sucking to continue, is because generally it means that the tongue isn't doing its job. So just, you know, easier to do this younger than older.
Sure, yeah. Now we do have some additional resources for you that we will link down in the description. Like we mentioned, we have a free webinar. We also have some podcast episodes and some other YouTube videos related to infants, lip ties, proprioception, some of those different things that we talked about today, so that you can watch those videos, listen to those podcasts to learn even more.
If you liked this Q&A style video, let us know. Let us know if you have questions that you want us to answer. Just, you know, we're here to help you, and we're here to make your life as easy as possible from a sensory standpoint, right?
If you do have questions that you want us to answer on the YouTube channel, then there is a link in the description with a form that you can type your question in there, and we will answer it on a future video.
If you like to hang out on Instagram, you can follow us there. We are at Harkla_family, as well as All Things Sensory Podcast. Tag us, leave a comment, send us a DM, let us know. Let us know you're hanging out. We love it. We love to hear from you.
Make sure you subscribe to the Harkla YouTube channel, because we do drop a new video every Tuesday.
Okay, we will see you next week. Hey there, and welcome back to our Harkla YouTube channel. We are so happy to have you here today. Oh,
I'm Rachel.